Slime Rancher 2's story is strangely ominous. Hi friends, and welcome to Slime Rancher 2. Unlike the happy-go-lucky stories of love and choices from the first game, Slime Rancher's new sequel carries dark undertones and a constantly growing sense of dread as you progress through the seemingly perfect, multicolored island around you. For now, the story to our favorite ranching game is told via two methods: the abandoned research drones you'll find scattered throughout Rainbow Island, and also by some familiar faces from the first game through this communications array. With the story being so heavily dispersed both spatially and over time, it can be hard to keep track of everything going on in the story, which is why I've attempted to condense everything down into a comprehensive narrative for your viewing pleasure. If you find this video helpful, or if you just enjoy it, consider leaving a like and subscribing to see more in the future. It would be much appreciated. But without further ado, here's Slime Rancher 2, the story explained. Before we get too much further, please keep in mind that Slime Rancher 2 is currently in early access, so none of these details are finalized, and a lot of my theories are just that, theories. Also, a lot of the nuances to the story won't make as much sense if you're not familiar with the original story arcs from the first game, so I'd advise making sure that you're comfortable with those basics before moving on with Slime Rancher 2's story. With that out of the way, let's go over the basics of your adventure on Rainbow Island. Beatrix LeBeau, known to her friends as Bee, is an intrepid adventurer and rancher who has traveled 1,000 light years to a distant planet known as the Far Far Range to start her journey as a slime rancher. After completing her original adventure through the events of Slime Rancher 1, she was approached by a mysterious boat with a note that read, "You have explored the Far Far Range, from the dusty shores of the dry reef to the furthest reaches of the perilous glass desert. But there are worlds yet uncharted, Beatrix LeBeau. Rainbow Island awaits you. Climb aboard if you're ready for a new adventure." After throwing caution to the wind and a brief trip across the Slime Sea, Bee is greeted by a multicolored island full of slimes to ranch and covered with vibrant colors unlike anything she's seen so far on the Far Far Range. She also stumbles into a large glass conservatory, complete with everything necessary to start ranching slimes immediately. With no other leads to go on, Beatrix begins exploring this new island to call home when she first encounters an abandoned research drone that looks strangely similar to the farming drones that you could create back on your ranch from the dry reef. These drones tell the story of someone who was here before you. Where that person is now remains a mystery. Rainbow Island itself is divided into three unique biomes: the Rainbow Fields, the Starlight Strand, and the Ember Valley, each with a looming, foreboding presence that grows the more you learn. At first glance, the beautiful island is bursting with color and with life, but the longer you look, the more cracks begin to appear in the surfaces of the island's perfect facade. The Starlight Strand takes this the most literally, being physically divided between dusk and dawn. But some of your old rancher friends from other parts of the Far Far Range can provide more insight into Rainbow Island secrets than you may notice at a first glance. Ogden Oritz used to be the CEO of a wildly successful instant food corporation back on Earth, giving him special knowledge of what it takes to alter life itself and turn the natural into the unnatural. In Ogden's professional opinion, the plants on Rainbow Island are a far departure from anything else on the planet. No research paper or botanical guide contains any information on any plants even similar to the ones you found on the island so far. To Ogden, the prismatic flora found on Rainbow Island seems like an accident, something that went too far and doesn't line up with the expected vegetation from elsewhere on the planet. Something about Rainbow Island is fundamentally wrong on a biological level. Ogden isn't the only friendly face weighing in with helpful advice and life information, though. Victor, the once socially awkward and introverted scientist, has grown into a compassionate and outgoing person who connects with Bee like the other ranchers over the comm station. However, it seems that Bee isn't the only one to reach out to Victor after she arrives on Rainbow Island. From day one, a mysterious entity, seemingly an AI, sends Victor an encrypted message, which Victor eventually decodes to read "Hello." The AI quickly sends more messages, learning Victor's strengths and style, while Victor develops a friendship with this new intelligent entity. One night, the pair are playing Go late into the evening while talking. Victor states that he will need more coffee to keep himself awake to continue playing, to which the AI quizzically states that it does too, indicating that this AI is not an AI after all, but another person on the other side of the screen. While the non-AI has reached out only to Victor at this point, Thora and Hobson are living their best life out on Thora's ranch. Bob himself even chimes in every once in a while with a gift. Mochi Miles similarly shows affection towards Bee and offers some remote assistance via the comm station, specifically referencing the research drones that you'll find scattered throughout this new slice of the far, far range. These research drones contain the stories of whomever built the conservatory and explored the Rainbow Island before Beatrix did, but they are a little too familiar to Mochi. The drones are impossible with current technology, and as of yet, they only exist in the reaches of Mochi's imagination for things that she might construct someday. You can confirm that these drones are indeed Mochi's design when she gives you an archive key to read into the backup data for these research drones. Theoretically, the key would only fit into drones of her own design, virtually guaranteeing that these drones are from the future in some regard. But between the archived drone data and the normal information on the drones, there's still plenty more going on with Rainbow Island. Most of these research drones tell either of exact moments that the person before Bee experienced, offer some helpful tidbits on how to deal with the local flora and fauna of Rainbow Island, or are reflections of the life that they've lived. However, there are a few specific drones that tell Bee a larger story on what came to pass on this small island of the far, far range. Like this drone outside of what we can assume is the labyrinth, which states that a lack of stabilization caused it to collapse, or the hints that the lava in the Ember Valley is the breaking point for coexistence on the island. The other drones tell a story of a person who left their parents' ranch before they were ready to be out on their own. With a thirst for adventure, they left for Rainbow Island without saying goodbye to their parents, who had sold the family ranch. The more drones you find, the more urgent the situation on Rainbow Island becomes, with the volcano in the Ember Valley bubbling with active lava. Whoever left the drones behind is worried for the island's future, and as of right now, things aren't looking too good. In my opinion, there are only two main options for who the person behind all of the research drones could be, and one of them is a much better theory than the other. The first and less good theory is that this is Beatrix from the future. While that seems all well and good, given that she is the protagonist of the series and the game is based around her exploration of Rainbow Island, there are two main issues that I have with this theory. First is that it would require Bee having a form of written communication that the player can access. This kind of breaks the fourth wall and implants a different personality into someone who is traditionally silent with only implied communication outside of the player's influence. The other issue with this theory is the timeline. While time travel is a canonical possibility that I'll talk about more in just a second, this theory would mean that Bee would have to leave all of the research drones twice, then return to herself on the original ranch in the Dry Reef to discover the island for a third time via a boat that her future self sent for her past self, all while her future self reaches out to Victor and keeps up a conversation with him. Additionally, the drones talk a bit about the person's parents and their ranch, while Bee is distinctly from Earth with no previous mention of a ranching family. With the information that we currently have, this seems like an unlikely narrative direction for the game, which is why I think that the second theory is significantly stronger. The second and better of the two theories is that the mysterious person responsible for Victor's late-night go sessions and the drones left around the island is the future child Thora and Hobson are planning to have. This may seem a bit far-fetched, but hear me out. Thora West and Hobson Twillagers have made themselves a home together on Thora's ranch following along with the events from Slime Rancher 1, but have set their sights on a new adventure. They searched for places neither of them had been and journeys they wanted to embark on, but none of them sparked as much joy as just staying home together and building a family. With two wild and intrepid souls, settling down and having a child seems like the last big adventure they both wanted. But how on earth could a child that isn't even born yet be responsible for the situation on Rainbow Island? Time travel is already a canonical possibility in the Slime Rancher series as presented by the first game, and Thora even directly references the portal that would have allowed either Hobson or Bee to travel through time in one of her early dialogue sessions. The entire story of the first game is summarized by the two doors at the end of the Glass Desert. One door leads Hobson on a grand adventure, quote, through space and time, where the other leads to a life with Thora on her ranch. In reality, both doors actually lead to the same ancient, broken-down teleporter and a note from Hobson stating that he chose Thora instead. Interestingly though, this teleporter wasn't supposed to be broken when you found it. In the same dialogue session where Thora mentions that very teleporter, she, on behalf of Hobson, asks why you, as B, chose not to take that teleporter yourself. It's implied that B responds with something to the effect of, "It was broken," which surprises Hobson, as he left it fully operational, ready for the next person to make their own choice. I believe that Thora and Hobson's future child took on that teleporter and caused the situation on Rainbow Island inadvertently. Mostly because we already know that the person behind Rainbow Island's prismatic glory also had some knowledge of the parts of the Far Far Range Beatrix originally explored on Hobson's old ranch. Specifically, this one drone's data references the author's journey across the Glass Desert, where that ancient teleporter was. Plenty of drones also call back to the author's mom and dad, with a clear desire to make something of themselves and not be a disappointment to their parents. It makes sense that the child of two noted slime ranchers with a passion for adventure would want something special for themselves. Whether that was as a researcher or a great rancher in their own right, whoever left behind the drones clearly had a curious mind and a wandering soul, with a plan to make something of themselves and impress their parents. My main issue with this theory comes from one specific archive session from a research drone that references the line, "I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad. I'm so sorry, Grandma." As of yet, the only character who has ever referenced their own parents in Slime Rancher is Mochi Miles, and it was always her father Tatsuya Miles, never her mother or her grandmother. So this particular line seems out of place with any characters that we currently know about, but that could easily be remedied with a line about Hobson or Thora mentioning their parents somewhere that I didn't notice. Of course, there is also the possibility that the mysterious person behind all of the uncertainties at Rainbow Island is an entirely unknown person to us at this point, and could be separate from any of the characters we already know and love. Where the story of Slime Rancher 2 is headed remains to be seen with future updates, as again, this is just the first early access version. There's a lot more gameplay features and story content coming to Rainbow Island in the future, but this is everything we know for the time being. I'm excited to see what adventures await us, but I think that's it for me for now. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider leaving a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helped me out. I hope to see you all again soon, but until then, have a great day.